MikeBear time, and this is one of the most interesting drafts to analyze. So I was really looking forward to this one because he took no QBs till the 10th round in a super flex league where there were like 20 QBs taken for him. So Alvin Kamara is super good pick, no question about it. He's probably got 5 years of being awesome, probably more like 3 years of being one of the top five mega elite players. But as you can see, he just freaking tears up the field when he gets the football. So, and I think, Drew Brees is probably on his way out, but Sean Payton is not. And while I hate Sean Payton, I think he knows how to craft a good offense. And Alvin Kamara is going to keep getting used in potent ways, and he's going to be great. So, hard to argue with this pick at 1.4. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another really awesome pick, I think. They grabbed Lev Bell. They weren't loving his production around this chunk of the schedule. I do think that people were overreacting. There's some tough defenses in here. New England is not the team they've been in the past, but they're still a good defense this year. Denver's got a solid defense. He put up numbers against Buffalo. 161 is not, to be trifled with. So I think he's very talented. I think he's on an elite offense. I think he's got a genius of an offensive head coach. And he's going to be good for a pretty long time. I mean, it's not much else to really talk about there. And would I rather have Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jonathan Taylor? I'm not sure. But you went with two of the top really young running backs, and that's just going to be a good pick in any sort of fantasy league. Whether it's the better option over taking these young quarterbacks remains to be seen. I can't wait to find out. But you had a strategy clearly here, and you executed it, and you have an incredible running back base, better than anybody else in the league. So, not a bad spot to start out in my opinion. And you follow that up with what I think is one of the better young wide receivers. So, I mean, 21, and he is already putting up some crazy games. 175 and 1, 166 and 2. His snap percentage is going up. 89% is big time. I think he's going to start to usurp Adam Thielen. I think Kirk Cousins fallen off a cliff, but when you have a dude that is this good, he's still going to put up numbers, and he's going to be putting up numbers for a while, I think. So this is a heck of a pick. If I mean, it's an interesting discussion whether you should have taken Ridley instead. But you got literally 4 years younger here is pretty fascinating, and you can't really argue with that. Ridley's a massive talent, best wide receiver in fantasy football this year, bright future. But I mean, this could be the superstar of the league at his position moving forward. So you took the even higher upside, I think, with this guy. Big time player. Chris Godwin, also 24. I couldn't even believe it. I feel like he's been around longer than that. And he's been having kind of a shaky, injured season. Who knows what his quarterback situation is going to be like in the coming years. I think he's an interesting option. I don't know if I was in your position and I had this start, would I have taken Godwin, or would I have gone for some of these even younger options just to continue with your stretch of, young elite talent? Maybe I would have gone Higgins over Godwin, but that's tough to say because obviously Godwin's a heck of a player and we've seen it. It's been proven. And his quarterback right now is better than Joe Burrow is. So it's interesting. But there's more weapons here. So, does Chris Godwin get all the work? Will AB come in and, take a bunch of targets away from the rest of the offense? I don't believe that's going to happen, but it's certainly in the realm of possibility. I can't deny that. So in terms of win now, I think you could have done slightly better. And in terms of future, I think you could have done slightly better. So this is the first pick that I would criticize a little bit, but Chris Godwin's still great. So I can't dwell on that too long. Diggs is weird to me. his talent is undeniable, and he was showing some serious rapport with Josh Allen, but I also think he's kind of an asshole. And I've seen multiple times for two different franchises now, games where it seems like he's just giving up on his team. I don't like that at all. I just don't know if teams are going to keep putting up with him. He's got a huge ego, clearly. And I'd preferred kind of sure thing kind of guys. 26, or would you rather have 2 years older, but one of the ultimate like team players? Like, find me a negative opinion on Tyler Lockett. Good luck. With a better quarterback for sure, or even maybe Galladay or something. So Diggs is good, obviously, and I think he will give you value this year and probably next year. But I think he could find himself in a weird like AB situation where teams are just tired of his shit at some point sooner than you might think. And you could have had a more sure thing, like nicer dudes. You don't get extra fantasy points for your player being a good dude, but in terms of a dynasty league, I wanted to stay away from like diva guys like Diggs comes across to me. So I think I would have gone a different direction with that pick as well. And then you continued your wild wide receiver run with Ayuk next round. Hard to say with him. He's had a couple of big games where he popped. He definitely popped last week. And I think that the talent and potential are there. This feels a little bit early for him. Probably not. I mean, this league obviously really valued the young receivers, so Ayuk was probably going to be gone very soon after this pick. But you could have... no. I think it's probably a great pick here. San Francisco's weird, and Kyle Shanahan offenses are weird. He had Julio Jones when he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, who was doing great. But other than that, I can't recall any wide receivers that are just consistent producers for Kyle Shanahan, because I think he likes to shake up kind of his offensive game plans and do, funky trick plays and emphasize different players every week. So it's hard for the defense to plan around them and stuff. So while I think, the talent's there, he's got a quarterback who's middle of the road and a coach who really shakes up his offense. So he doesn't strike me as the most consistent long-term talent, but they put some serious draft capital into him. I want to say he was like a second or third rounder, first round pick. So, maybe they're going to really involve him moving forward. That wouldn't shock me. Allen Robinson's amazing. It's so funny. If he had a good quarterback, he's going like up here probably, because when you watch him, he looks like one of the best players in football to me. It's so sad he has to get thrown to by, the shell of Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. Get this man a quarterback, and he will just stomp the league, I think. But, this is a great pick. Maybe things change in Chicago, or maybe Robinson goes somewhere else. That would probably be better for your sake. But I like this pick. What I don't like, though, is the Darius Slayton pick. Because this league, like, you're going to get punished, and we're going to talk about this later, by the fact that you just ran out of tight ends and quarterbacks to take. And you could have, when are you starting Darius Slayton with all these wide receivers that you took on this run? You can't. You're never playing him over Robinson, Diggs, Godwin, or Jefferson. And I know he's young, and he had this massive game week 1, I remember. Pretty big game here. He's like a boom bust guy with a bad quarterback who's slightly improving, I would say. I I don't think he's a bad pick on paper in the 8th round, just in general. But for your team, with what was going on here and what you already had established, like I think you needed. I wonder if you wanted Hunter Henry, and he got snatched a pick before. I really think Hunter Henry would have been incredible for your team right here, and we'd be having a much different kind of discussion right now. Or you should have taken Dallas Goedert here, I would even say. I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad he's on my roster. Or you should have gotten running back depth. There was still Edmonds, Gordon, Henderson, these Buffalo guys, Gaskin, Mostert, So I just don't know. Maybe you were crunched for time or something. This doesn't seem like the right pick to me. And then you took Gronk, which is like your 1-year tight end or something. I feel like he came back to try and win a Super Bowl real quick with Brady, and then he's going to want to hang him up again. But maybe he'll play next year. He seemed like the kind of guy that was probably enjoying his out-of-football life, but he definitely has popped the past 2 weeks. And I think he'll be a pretty solid option at the position for you moving forward, but he's obviously not like a dynasty long-term piece. And, you could have had Engram. Ooh, I would have rather had Hurst. I mean, there is no question here. Hurst is 4 years younger, looks solid this year. You're just getting a lot more value, I think, out of the pick overall. And again, there's too many weapons in Tampa Bay. I know Gronk had 2 good games here. He's not going to get a touchdown every week. These targets are probably going down when Brown slips in. Is O.J. Howard out for the year? Regardless, he's not getting 8 targets every week. I just don't see that happening. And he'll probably get hurt. I don't want that to happen. I never wish injury on anybody, but so should have taken Hurst. I will take that to the grave. Next, you take Bridgewater for your first QB, and I think it's good. He's pretty good, and maybe he'll be able to stick around on the Panthers and grow with the team. And he's got solid receiving options that are young and growing with him. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson's been great. He's going to have McCaffrey for a while. Matt Rule's doing a pretty good job there with that team, I think. So I do like this pick a lot. I think it was a fantastic pick. I'd rather have him than every quarterback that went after him. So literal A+ here. You really needed it too. So thank goodness for your sake that Bridgewater didn't go like right here or something, because you would have been forced into like Minshew. And that would have not been good. As having Minshew as your QB1 in a super flex league is not what you want. Keyshawn Vaughn's, whatever. I think there's too many. I don't really like it. He's literally 0 snap percentage most of the year. There's too much still available down here that you could have got. Rookies that are actually seeing play. Rookie that's seeing play. Rookie that has potential. Even way down here, Kerryon Johnson has shown that he can be a good player. I'm not saying I would have taken Kerryon Johnson here. I'm just saying, like, you have 0 indication that this guy is going to see the field in any consistent capacity at any point, really. And there's Ronald Jones is looking really good. So you could have gotten better value here. In fact, I would have taken a quarterback probably. I'd rather have Darnold than Keyshawn Vaughn or something. I think Darnold is not the best quarterback for fantasy, obviously, but we're in a super flex league. So, interestingly, Michael Pittman we'll see. It's really hard to predict with him. The fact that he's not seeing the field at all the past 3 weeks is not great for his prospects on a team that really could use some more wide receiver talent. I mean, T.Y. Hilton's fallen off a cliff, and then what's left here? Paris Campbell got hurt, so you would have thought that this would have been this guy's opportunity to get on the field and make things happen. But, I mean, the Colts really, really need just a quarterback and a good receiver, and I think they're a Super Bowl contender. So the fact that this guy's not getting on the field does not make me confident that he's going to be a good piece for them. Jameis Winston is pretty interesting. I like this pick because who else is lined up to be the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints next year, or the year after, whenever Drew Brees is done? And that's a franchise that has players like Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. So, he's going if he sees the field, he's going to throw picks, but he's also going to score you a bunch of fantasy points. So, I do actually like this. And Garoppolo is whatever to me. He's not that good, but he sees the field. So in a Superflex league, he gives you some depth. He's playable depth for sure. Geez, he just doesn't really inspire confidence, though. I'm never putting him in, thinking I'm going to get a great week out of him. I don't even know who this is. He's going to give you nothing. There were players here that see the field, And this guy does not. And he has one of the best running backs in football in front of him. So how does this guy ever see the field? Nick Foles, I guess he wanted some depth. This is kind of the problem you run into when you take the quarterbacks like this, though. You're basically forced into a pretty okay QB here, and then very weak super flex option compared to what some of these other teams are doing. And I know you're compensated for that by having a nasty 1-2 running back punch and great young wide receiver depth. But, obviously you have to do pros and cons of your strategies. So we'll see how it pays off for you. Randall Cobb, whatever. Gabriel Davis, I don't know who this is. Rookie, disappointing week 7. Looks like a disappointing year period so far. But, there's weapons there, and they're getting older. Maybe this guy slips in and, replaces John Brown or something at some point. Could be a reasonable player to hold on to. I do see a couple of higher potential players in my eyes, but nothing too wild. So, it's fine. Josh Reynolds is fine. Brian Hill is not that good, unfortunately. He just, when the corpse of Todd Gurley just is by far better than you, you're probably not very good. No idea who this is. He's probably never going to see the field. Jalen Samuels is okay. When James Conner was hurt in week 1, it was Benny Snell who was not that good. And if this guy can't even get above that, he's probably nothing. Don't know who this is. Trubisky is probably never going to be a starter again. Ian Thomas, I actually thought about drafting. He's an okay. I went to IU, so I know a bit about him. He could be okay, maybe someday. Don't know who this is. Mohamed Sanu. That's cool. Oh, he's getting up there. Oh, he's barely playing. I liked Mohamed Sanu back when he played. But yeah, so let's look at MikeBear's team at a full view. Why can I never find people? Okay. And this is a hard grade to give. I love your running back duo. I'm loving some of the wide receiver action you have going on. Your quarterbacks do not inspire much confidence. Bridgewater gets to play Atlanta, so obviously he's going to have a huge projection this week. But then, he's got a week 13 bye. It's pretty tough to deal with in this kind of league. Who's going to be your quarterback that week? Is Garoppolo past his bye? Nope. So you're gonna have struggles. You're gonna have to play like Nick Foles and get 2 points. It's just not gonna be great. So that really hurts your win now prospects, even though you have this great positional group set up. And I think Gronk is going to have less value as the season goes on than he does right now. And I think you're going to have some weird positional problems. It's a roster with very high highs and then some disappointing lows, and I am not seeing an easy path to fixing them for you outside of, obviously trades can make anything happen if you go crazy. But your team's good enough that you're not going to get, the Trevor Lawrence pick. So it's going to be probably a win now grade of, an A-. This is a playoff team. I would be surprised if you don't make the playoffs. And then in terms of future, it's actually pretty solid, really. I mean, you have running back locked up as well as anybody. You have some of the crazy wide receiver talent like Justin Jefferson. Allen Robinson's going to continue to be good for a while. Chris Godwin's going to continue to be acceptable for a while. So I would put the future grade higher than some of the other more win now teams that I've been looking at. Probably something like a B minus. I do overall like the team quite a bit, but I think there were some picks in there that I gave my reasoning why I would have done something else, and you could have been probably truly elite for the win now with a couple of slightly different decisions. But overall, this is a pretty good looking team, and you're set up pretty nicely. So that's my review of MikeBear's team.